Recently, during a conversation, I was introduced to the concept of looksmaxxing, and the person who told me about it, after explaining it to me, asked me what was my opinion of it from a spiritual standpoint, spiritual point of view. And what I told him is basically what I will try to tell you in this video. It's going to be, I think, a brief video because to me, it's pretty obvious what is going on in the looksmaxxing community. The people who are usually, based on my understanding of it, the people who are attracted to that are usually young and or young souls. What do I mean by young souls? I mean people whose incarnation on this 3D planet, on this 3D world of ours, is fairly new, meaning that they might have a few hundred or a few thousands of incarnation in past incarnations, which is absolutely nothing in the face of eternity. And they, in those past incarnations, they haven't gone through a lot of spiritual evolution. That is the concept of an old soul and a young soul. A young soul is what I just described, and an old soul is someone who, it's not his first or their first rodeo. And in past incarnation, they have treaded the path of spirituality quite deeply and for a long time. And when they come back, after they left their meat suit in the past incarnation and then come back into a new incarnation, remnants of said spiritual evolution are still within them. Hence the idea of an old soul, the concept of an old soul and a young soul. And I think the reason why young people and or young souls are particularly attracted to looksmaxxing is because the only reason why people would be into that kind of extreme physical modification is because they completely listen to their ego. They are so much deeply rooted in this 3D world of ours that the idea that we are a drop of source, aka the higher self, aka God, call it whatever you want, the universal consciousness on a 3D level of existence, they are so far removed from that idea that they completely identify with the body, not understanding that the body that we inhabit in this 3D world is transient. We don't have it forever. It will age because that is part of the contract we sign when we choose to incarnate in this 3D world of ours. And that the body is in no way, shape, or form who you really are. And so they hold on to a version of themselves that is just a lie. And the version of themselves that is a lie is pushed by their ego. The ego is this little voice in your head that tells you what to do, that you should create this or that because it doesn't exist, and you should achieve this or that. And that is as far as the ego should go, because the minute it does that, then the ego will tell you that you're not going to be able to do it. Or in the case of looksmaxxing, will tell you that your physical appearance is not up to par, that you need to change this, that you need to change that. For what? For how other people look at you. So looksmaxxing is basically a total enslavement to how other people view you. And the thing that they do not understand is that such an endeavor is a futile pursuit, in that not everyone, and you know what? No one, let's go with no one. No one will be satisfied with how you look, because you are always the most beautiful person in the world for someone, but you are also always the ugliest person for someone too. So it is an impossibility to satisfy everybody as far as how you look like. And how you look like is absolutely not who you are. So the a healthy dose of taking care of yourself is basically eating well, sleeping well, trying to manage, your stress level. Of course, taking care of your skin, of your hair, whatever. But it is more on a stance of well-aging, if you will, than anti-aging, which is a stupid concept, if you'll pardon me the use of the word stupid, because you cannot anti-age. The only way to anti-age is to die. So the only thing you can do if you don't want to die right away is to well-age. Hence my using well-aging instead of anti-aging. But Looksmaxxing takes it to a whole new level that we have seen before in people who are addicted to plastic surgery, for instance. They do not recognize who they see in the mirror and they want to change it, not realizing that who they see in the mirror is not them. And so Looksmaxxing for me is not only a futile pursuit, because you'll never be able to have everybody love your physical appearance, but it's also very self-destructive in that you will never be satisfied. Therefore, you condemn yourself for a life of disappointment. And the further you go along in life, well, the more you will, age. And aging based on how Looksmaxxers see aging is a battle they cannot win. So as they go older and the body changes, the skin, the hair, whatever changes, when you get older, they will try more and more to max their looks, if you will. But that is, again, a futile pursuit. So not only do they condemn themselves to a life of disappointment, but they also condemn themselves to never really understanding who they are, because in their endless and pointless, dare I say, pursuit of the ultimate physical appearance, they forget that your physical appearance is not who you are, one, and two, they do not even try to understand why we are here, which is the reason why we are incarnated in this body of ours. The reason for the higher source is to experience itself through each and every one of us as a drop of source here in this 3D world. But the reason for you also is not only to be the vehicle for the higher self to experience itself, but for you to remember that you are the higher self, that you are a drop of source here, that we are all one, that we all come from love, aka the higher self, source, God, call it whatever you want, and to God, to love, to the higher self we go back, that we are love and loved, unconditional love. And when you fall into the trap, the ego trap of Looksmaxxing, you fall into the trap of self-hatred. Because the only reason why you're trying to change how you look like is because you hate yourself. You hate how you look like. Not only you do that because you hate yourself, but you keep doing it because, as I said, it's a never-ending quest, and it's a fake quest because there is absolutely no holy grail at the end of it. There is only disappointment. And, to say nothing of how badly you treat your body. Therefore, when you hammer your face in order to change the bone structure, when you inject yourself with whatever you find on the dark web, when you treat your body with disrespect, which is what it is, then your body will not respond nicely. And so you will age your body faster. You will end up being exactly what you do not want to be. That is, someone who looks nothing like them, but someone whose behavior, ill-advised by the ego, behavior has completely destroyed themselves physically. And since these people do not realize that they are more than just the physical, when they realize what they do to their body, they fall into depression. And guess where that leads to? So looksmaxxing, to me, is a perfect example of following your ego blindingly, not realizing that you fall into the trap of self-hatred, which in a way serves the ego, because by doing that, you stay within the realm of the physical. Therefore, forgetting who you are, not even trying to remember who you are, which is on the spiritual. And that serves the ego perfectly, because the ego does not want you to remember who you are. Because by remembering who you are, you do not kill your ego, but you tame it, you muzzle it, which is how it should be. Again, you cannot kill your ego, because we need the ego to navigate this 3D world of ours, and if you could kill your ego, you would be brain dead. But looksmaxxing is, for me, a perfect example of how you can destroy who you are when you fully listen to your ego. And to each his own, we are all here to learn a lesson, if not in this incarnation, then the next, and so on and so forth. But my 2 cents would be, don't fall into the trap of looksmaxxing, because then you become a total slave to your ego. And that is not why we are here.